Hi, everybody. New Jersey Forensic Accountant. Today we're going to discuss something about damages because damages, it's like an onion. You can keep peeling back and learning more about how the damages are calculated and the different methodologies. Two of the favorite terms I have in forensic accounting is ex ante and ex post. Sounds like something really complicated, but it isn't. These are just two different methodologies of calculating damages, and makes you think deeper when you're calculating damages. Now, when you're calculating damages, usually it's always centered around the date of the wrongdoing. Okay, we have this was done on this date, and the damages are X amount. And then what we do is we project forward. We kind of like have to have a crystal ball to project forward these damages, which is really difficult to do, but that's what we get paid for, and there are methodologies to do that within a reasonable degree of certainty. Now, it would be great to have 100% certainty, and there is a way to do that, fortunately. So the two terms that we're talking about is ex ante, which is Latin for from before, and ex post, which is Latin for from after. I always remember ex post because I think of an office, and then you go to the post office, it's after. And these are two different methodologies looking at damages. You look at the date of the wrongdoing, or you carry them. You can go to the future. And a lot of times when we do these cases, we don't go to court for 2 or 3 years later. We know what happened, right? We know the answers. So which approach to use? The approaches really are dictated a lot by case law. You know my feelings on case law. It's usually misinterpreted and cherry picked in some cases, unless there's a real deep well of case law. It's not that useful, even though attorneys hang their hats on this, because a lot of times case law is how a judge felt that day, and it's one little tiny specific sentence in the case, which is not relevant when you look at the whole case in its entirety. But case law does dictate that we should really use, most of the time, ex ante. Facts of the case. Sometimes there's a situation where you can't use ex post because like a building burnt down or something like that. So the facts of the case are important. And the expert's view, if you could convince the trier of fact that, listen, we need to use a mixture of these two methodologies, is where I usually fall. And I need ex post, but I also need ex ante. So those are three of the main options we have. Now, when I use the ex post method to estimate future income and expenses before the actual results are known, okay, we use ex post when we have a lot more precision and accuracy because we know the actual results. Just like I said, ex ante is kind of based on this methodology we can project forward. Ex post is we know the results. Now, there is an expert in there, that this Dunbar, Michael Dunbar, and what he does, he basically says the same thing I've just summarized, but just so you have another expert's point of view. He says, an ex ante analysis would use information if it were available at the time the unlawful act to calculate damages contemporaneously. So he's saying is, ex ante is, okay, the damages happen here, you only use information on that date. The next day, if the building burns down, you don't use that. You use the date that the damages happen, which it makes it a lot easier because we know we have an actual date we can use rather than a moving target. Ex post, all the information is available, right? Facts are known. We know exactly what happened. And there was a really great case that goes through how some judges said, listen, we should really use the ex post methodology, and it was really applicable. This Sinclair refining company versus Jenkins Petroleum. And this had to do with patent royalties, which is really a perfect example of ex ante versus ex post. And what happened here was, in the ex ante approach, right, for patent infringement, the date they stole the patent, you'd have to estimate what they were doing and what sales they had. Very difficult to do, but again, we can do it. We can do it because we have, but really, it would be great if we could use the ex post, because what happened? 3 years later, we know how they benefited from that patent, right? We can go back and calculate it. Here's all the extra money you made. Of course, we're still going to have to go forward at that date because we're going to have hopefully damages going into perpetuity, or at least 3 or 4 more years if it's that type of patent. So this is really a great case because you want to use ex post here because you can get the real information. You had a patent for this product. You sold, $10 billion of these products. You made $2 billion. Our fee would have been $1 billion, right? It's hard to argue that. And that's why this case is so famous. So when you have damaged patent infringement cases, that's a great example of when we need to use sort of like a hybrid method of both. I mean, ex post is going to give you good information, but you're still going to need ex ante in there a little bit. Now, in many patent, including this one, damages are typically calculated based on the royalties, right? We know the royalties because we know the income. So I just want you to realize that when you're thinking about damages, I want you to think about ex ante and ex post, whether you're a lawyer, a forensic accountant, or just someone who happens to be in a damage situation. Listen, guys, hopefully you liked this video. If you did, punch the the like button here. It helps us a lot. If you guys have any questions, leave them below. Me or one of my associates will get back to you. I'm New Jersey Forensic Accountant. Thanks for listening.